All right, we are live on Can We Have a Conversation? Today we have a special guest, not a guest to man, just a guest to the friends out there in Facebook and Canada and YouTube. His name is Mike Norris. He's a well-known baseball player out of the Bay Area. Played for the Oakland A's. Turned to be a really good friend of mine. We've done some work together, working with kids, and just wanted to have him on the show and talk about his life and some of his experiences growing up in San Francisco. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm pleased to be here.
Absolutely. As you know, there's no script to Can We Have a Conversation. We just very organic, just having a conversation. The only thing is that the time goes very fast. So we got an hour, but trust me, the hour will go fast. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, Mike, growing up is, growing up in San Francisco. I know you grew up in a single family home, and I know your dad passed away at a very young age, and kind of share with me some of your childhood challenges growing up, especially what you told me earlier about, even going to uh, funerals because of you being traumatized of that experience.
Yeah, my dad passed away at a tragic death. He was stabbed by another woman and murdered, and then she just drug him out of the front door and put him out on the porch.
Mm,
And so this is the way that was described to me. So I was four. I mean, I don't have any great memories of it. As a matter of fact, I don't have any memories of him at all, but being in that casket. And from that, I believe I got traumatized because
mhm,
I'm, like I told you and expressed to all of you, that I've never been able to go to funerals. I've gone to three in my whole life, and I'm 67 years old.
mm,
So that's quite minimal. But it just, it was tough growing up without a male in the house, but then living in the projects. Of course, the projects are made for single parent Black women
mhm,
specifically.
mhm,
There weren't many dads around in the first place. My mother happened to have been my dad and my granddad and grandmama, because I didn't have a grandmother or a granddad either. So that link to having uh, a lineage was not there. So my mom took the place of the male in the house, in which she did one heck of a job. Um, there came a point though when I got about 16 years old, and then I just started to realize that manhood was coming on me, and I started to take on responsibility without having her uh, try to issue me money. And because, I, even though it was only two of us, I have a sibling and a sister, and we're 8 years apart. But my baseball prowess was able for me to go out. I was good enough to where one of the coaches paid me to actually play.
mhm,
And so I could come away from some games with as much as $30.
mhm,
Back then, that was a whole lot of money.
mhm,
Uh, And so I would bring that home, but I would offer it to my mom, and she, first of all, didn't believe that I was getting paid to play baseball, and she thought I was out doing something that was wrong or ill. And she finally called my coach, and he told her, "Yeah, I'm giving him a few bucks because he earns it." And
mhm,
so that actually led to me being able to learn how to play for money, because when you become a professional baseball player like I was able to play 10 years with the Oakland A's. And that pressure of trying to excel so you can make a maximum amount of dollars out there became easy when I became a professional.
mhm, mhm. Let me ask you, growing up, and I know you said you don't have any memories of your dad or anything like that, but you grew up in, what was it, Hunters Point? Where did you grow up?
In the Fillmore, which is
In
called
the
the Western Addition now, and it's just so gentrificated that I actually was had a friend that was out of town, and I wanted to show him where I grew up.
mhm,
And upon driving through the neighborhood, I couldn't find out these 12-story projects were gone. And I kept looking, and all of a sudden, I realized they weren't there anymore. And I made a quick phone call to someone. They said, "Ben, they dynamited those things about 3 years ago."
oh wow,
And tears just started rolling out of my eyes, because I realized my history was gone,
Mm, mm.
and that was really upsetting to me. So now, if you go through the Western edition now, you can't even remember what was on each corner because everything is torn down and redone.
Wow.
Uh, and so your heritage is a big deal,
Mm-hmm.
and if you can't remember your heritage, and Malcolm X once said, if you don't know where you came from, you won't know where you're going.
Mm, mm,
And so I take pride in trying to stay a part of the community, even though I live over in Oakland now.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I have a baseball academy,
Mm-hmm.
and it consists of an after school program with academics, health and wellness, and spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with those three components, I think that can cover a child's life. If he has no father in the home, uh, he can come to the youth center,
Mm-hmm.
and he can be surrounded by some strong black men.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the spirituality part, mom's probably isn't going to church like our parents made me go to church.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't go to church on Sunday, then I couldn't go outside and play after Sunday, which would just kill me. That was like a punishment. And so I was raised in a church, a Baptist church, and so I have a great deal of understanding what God is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think these kids these days don't have that respect for life. And
Mm-hmm.
so you see the gangs and the murders and the things that go on, and you would have to not understand what God is in order to kill somebody. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why spirituality is a big part of my program, as well as health and wellness.
That's good. That's good. I know many times you talk to me about, scriptures that your mom used to talk to you about or share. And so you had that foundation, that spiritual foundation, just lacking the fatherhood piece. And how did, growing up, how did that help you or hurt you or impact you as far as masculinity was concerned and identity?
Well, it really didn't hurt me much, and I guess that wasn't something you ran around and spoke about. Even though coming from church, you would be dressed up in a suit all the time. What I had most problem was my mom would make me come home after school, and I better had a couple of books. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't come home without a book. And there were some of the older kids that would actually take my books and throw them down the street and say,
Mm-hmm.
"Boy, you ain't going to no college, Uncle Tom," and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I was faced with a lot of ignorance. So that's the only time that I had to deal with something that was negative as far as my community surroundings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I when I a lot of times talk to these men that I struggle with, just having conversations with them and explaining to them, about parenting because they struggle in parenting because they said, I never had a father. And so not having a father, they said it was a missing piece to their problem. And I had a father that was at home, but not always necessarily active and present in my life. And so that caused me to have some anger issues and you know some resentments towards him and actually go down the road that I probably shouldn't have went, but if he was present I probably wouldn't have went that way. And so I was trying to see you growing up, especially in Fillmore. I know it was rough in Fillmore. I know Fillmore is,
Yeah,
of course, it's not what it is now,
right.
but it does have its stories.
Well, back then, heroin was the big issue.
Yeah.
They got the cocaine, get graduated to cocaine. I got involved with cocaine, and it probably almost ruined my career. And I do believe that had I had a father in my life, I don't think I would have went down that road because after a boy gets 12, between 12 ages 12 and 16, there's not much your mother can do. You don't get whippings anymore, you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
So there's that fear factor is not there any longer.
Hmm.
But I'm sure if I would have had a father, I probably wouldn't went down that road.
Now I see you went to Balboa, right?
I went to Polytechnic first from 10th grade until we had high and low grades back then. So I went to Polytechnic from the 10th to the low 11th, and then from the high 11th, I went to Balboa and graduated.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, from 1973, I graduated.
Okay. Yeah, Balboa, we used to scrimmage them in basketball, man. And
Yeah,
those scrimmages turned into some fist fights, man.
Yeah, yeah. Balboa was a great athletic programs. They were good in basketball. They were good in football for sure, and baseball they were darn good. Uh, and track. So they dominated the sports basically back then. As a matter of fact, the reason why I went from Polytechnic, they said the school was on earthquake proof, so we had the choice of schools to go to.
Mm.
And since Balboa beat me in the championship that year, then I said, well, heck, I might as well go over there. If you can't beat them, join them.
That's all right. You know, I remember watching you play, man, and I remember the years when they won like 3 pennants in a row. And I
Yeah.
think you were coming towards the end of that. It was
I,
73, 74, and 75.
right. Unfortunately, I missed the 3 World Series in 7. I got there in 75 my rookie year. But the same players were there.
Hmm.
We lost Catfish Hunter that year. Mr. Finley didn't pay for his farm, and so he became a free agent through his contract he had written in there. And so instead of Mr. Finley going out and getting another caliber pitcher, because Catfish Hunter was one of the best pitchers in baseball,
Hmm.
and was a mainstay in them winning those 3 World Series.
Hmm.
And so Mr. Finley invited the 11 of the top prospects pitchers in the organization to fight out for that one job. And
Mm.
so I was selected to be one of the 11. And then I wound up winning that job out of the 11 guys. And
Mm.
so that's how I made it to the big leagues.
Wow, and I mean, you know, with the guys, it wasn't only Catfish Hunter, it was Vita Blue, so I mean, you guys had like 3 starting pitchers at that
Yeah.
time.
Well, what was amazing was we had 2 black pitchers on the same staff, but Blue Moon Odom was the other one,
Hmm.
which was that was a first. I don't think that had ever happened. I'm not sure, but I'm almost positive that there were never 2 starting black pitchers in a rotation.
Right.
And then when I got there, it made it 3. Now the problem was one of us had to go, and unfortunately, that was Blue Moon Odom. And so what happened was he was the oldest out of all of us, and of course, I wasn't going to replace Abida Blue.
Mm.
But so it happened to me at the end of my career too. I was on a team when Dave Stewart, myself, and then there was a kid that had to pick up through the draft, and he had to stay on the team that year, and his name was Reggie Harris. And so he was there. So it was 3 of us again, and guess who had to go when when the cut was going? The oldest guy, which was me. So it was a big 360 from the beginning to the end of my career.
Absolutely. Now you started. I guess you played at. And when did you make the league? And you were 20 years old when you came into the league.
At 19 going on 20, exactly. Yeah.
So you're a young man, and you're making all this money, and I'm sure you're getting all the attention from the women. And how was you able to manage that? You know, the money, the fame. Because a lot of times I say, with the father gives us this foundation. It gives us this, where we can uh, have that sense of what it really means to be a man. And sometimes we lack those things, and so we take them and we put them in other areas, or whether it's sex or drugs.
Yeah, well, I went through the sex and the drugs, but I was pretty grounded because I blew my elbow out the first year when I made it to the big leagues. My first game, I became the 35th pitcher in Major League history to throw a complete game shutout.
Oh wow!
My second start, I threw a one-hitter shutout for 7 innings. And now I'm on top of the world. I just really know I belong there now. I can do this. How I made the team, I struck Hank Aaron out on 3 pitches. And I actually got to pitch against Frank Robinson in spring training. And so, I got all the greatest players on the way out. It was all their last year that were playing.
Wow!
And so uh, the fast life didn't catch up with me until I won my 20th game, which is a milestone for any major league pitcher to win 20 games.
Mm-hmm.
And as a matter of fact, I'm one of only 16 African Americans that won 20 games or more in the history of Major League Baseball, and we're deemed named the Black Aces.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a lot of success And I mean, the women coming at you, and I made signed a big contract for $4.8 million for 5 years. So there was nothing I wanted, but from coming from the projects and having all that, it's basically not being able to handle success.
Mm, mm.
And so, that was a lot of immaturity on my part.
Tell me a little bit more about that when you say that, because I can understand how that can happen when you say uh, immaturity in many areas. What areas are you speaking about?
Well, I'm a pretty intelligent individual, but the lifestyle gets overwhelming when everybody's telling you how good you are. You go here and you eat free. You go here, you get in free. And people are just always telling you how great you are and wanting to be around you. And then you get associated with people that don't have your best interest.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
if you're doing drugs, you're going to start hanging around with people like that,
Mm-hmm.
which I basically call low lives.
Mm-hmm.
And they have no interest in you, but then they'll be around you they'll be having their hands out. They know you got a lot of drugs. They know you got a lot of money, so they want to be around you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel prey to that, because I've always wanted to be liked.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to be. I always wanted to be everybody to like Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a good personality, and so that was easy for people to infiltrate what I was doing. And it took me to having to go to drug clinics. Uh, I went to 3 drug clinics, and 2 times the court sent me, and 1 time the team sent me. And so that was a very low part in my life. It was embarrassing. My poor mom had to go through that with me. Uh, and one day my sister came up to me and she said, and she's my younger sister, like I said, 8 years younger. And she comes up to me and she goes, Mike, why are you doing this to us?
Mm-hmm.
And oh my God, it felt like somebody just stabbed me. It was just,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I never felt so low in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a wake up call for me. And I straightened up after that. And
Mm-hmm.
I can attribute that to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I got married and had a child, and I'd stopped doing everything. So
Mm-hmm.
um, to be 25 years sober is a wonderful thing.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
How's because we all know parenting can be challenging. So how's that going as far as parenting? You have a daughter, is that correct?
That's correct, and she's wonderful. I'm so proud of her. She has her own business. So she's a digital marketing individual,
Mm-hmm.
and she's been with several really big companies. And so she's on her own now. And as a matter of fact, she's over in Japan right now with her mother.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so she travels all over the world, and her and her mother are very, very close. And the mother is half Japanese and black,
Okay.
so they got relatives over there they're visiting. So it's a very big cultural experience, and I got to enjoy some of that as well. So yeah, my daughter is a big, big, big part of my life.
Mm. Mm. Now, how old is she?
She's 24.
24. So she didn't really see the highlight of Mike Norris playing.
It was funny, but I would have pitching lessons I would give kids, and she is extremely athletic. I don't know if you ever heard of Monet Davis,
Mm-hmm.
who was a black girl that played in the Little League World Series, and she was a pitcher,
Mm-hmm. I've heard
and
of.
she was the best pitcher out of the whole tournament. Anyway, making a long story short, so my daughter had that kind of ability. So one day, after I got through giving the pitching lesson, she got up on the mound and she picked up a ball and she said, Dad, is this how you do it? And the next thing you know, the ball went, phew! And it was low and away down at the knees, just like a professional would throw the ball. It was like overwhelmed. And then sometimes we would go play basketball. Of course, my legs aren't with me anymore like that, like they used to be. And so what is the game you play when you spell a letter and you miss a ball and you get a letter?
uh, a horse.
Horse, right, right. So we would play horse. And so she knew I couldn't run and jump right. So she takes the basketball, and these were low hoops. They were only 11 feet, but they're about 8 feet. And she takes the ball and she turns around in midair and gives a 360 dunk backwards.
What?
God strike me down if I'm lying. So now and she was just getting ready to get into high school. So I go, sweetheart, I think it's time for you to start playing a little high school sports, man. I said you can get a scholarship, and that will help me and mommy out tremendously. She said, Dad, sports was your thing. Academics is going to be mine.
Oh wow.
And boy, I wish I had someone that had a camera because I know I had the stupidest, dumbest look on my face. I was like, I can't believe this kid said this.
That's the Kodak moment, huh?
Oh my God. So, and that came to be what she did. And one day, quick story, I'm picking her up from school and she comes to the car just teed off. And then she drops her books in the car and she turns around and accelerates and runs back towards school. Now, I don't know what the heck is going on. I think maybe she's getting ready to have a fight, but of course I can't run. So I had to patiently wait there. And she comes back about 15 minutes later. And now she's got a smile on her face. I said, what is going on with you? She said, well, the teacher gave me a B plus, but I deserved an A. So I went back and she changed it to an A.
Oh wow.
So she graduated with a 4.0 grade point average in school.
Good for her. Good
Yeah.
for her.
So she's always been like the smartest kid in the class. She actually went to uh, uh, what's the Mills College in Oakland.
Yeah,
And
my mom graduated from Mills
okay,
College.
well there was a program they had for gifted kids, and she went all the way to the eighth grade in that. As a matter of
Is
fact,
it Upward Bound?
yeah, and we had her in preschool at 4 years old, and she was handling herself just quite well with that. So yeah, so she had a great education, but then she kept getting. Then we took her out of there because she said little white girls, she was having nightmares that they were chasing her. She was the only black kid there.
Mm.
And so we took her out of there and we put her in the public schools in Oakland, where she just ran through that. She started helping the teacher out and teaching the kids and stuff. It was just ridiculous. So they started skipping her. So they skipped her 2 grades. So we finally got her moved out to Danville and she went to school in Dublin.
Mm.
And that's when she started having competition. They had Asian kids and India kids,
Mm-hmm.
not Americans, the kids from India.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know their mental problems. If you ever know anything about the uh, what do you call that? The kids have when you ask them questions and a spelling bee,
Mm-hmm.
and the Indian kids win it every year.
Mm-hmm.
So she finally found kids that were smarter than her. So that was quite humbling for her. So yeah, but she she's taken those smarts, man, and gone a long way with it. So like I said, I'm so proud. But then it all depends on, like, her mother is very 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 instrumental in getting her into the schools, and then I'm telling her things, what she needs to do and how success is,
Mm-hmm.
and so we put that education in her life, and so she's really really exhibited some success by just having education in her life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's great. I mean, it's because that is a success story because you turned it around. I mean, not only were you a good athlete, but you're in your daughter's life, and a lot of times statistics shows that when fathers are missing in your life, then you end up being a fatherless or an absent father. But you turn that generation around and say, you know what, I'm gonna pour into, and the thing is, Mike, there's no manual or perfect book to parenting. I
No,
mean,
no, there
you,
isn't.
it's
No,
hidden
there
and
isn't.
missing, and I don't care how well a father you are. I got 3 kids, man, and
Right.
what one just turned 35 yesterday, and
Wow.
I got
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. And I got a son 19, I got a daughter 16, and it's difficult, parenting, especially not really actually having a father that was actually engaged in helping me to become have those tools. So when I wasn't used to my dad, embracing me and hugging me and telling me that he
Right.
loved me.
Right.
And so when
Right.
I began to, wrap my arms around my daughter, it was awkward for me,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it just wasn't something that I was used to.
Well, I did that every day with mine. Every day to pick her up from school, she got that hug. You know, pick her up to go to school in the morning, she got that hug. Affection If they don't get that from their dad, then how do they know how to emulate and what to look for when they get older as a teenager or an adult even?
Yeah.
And this all that stuff carries over into their adult life. So if they have any issues, intimacy issues, or anything like that, that stems from their childhood.
You're absolutely right. And now I did it. I the more I've done it, the easier it became. But it was awkward at first. But I knew that was something that they needed, and so
Right,
I had to press through that awkwardness. But
right,
you
right,
but you're absolutely right.
right.
I remember growing up in Oakland, and used to see the prostitutes on San Pablo, and
Yep,
they
yep,
used to be like, grown women.
yes,
And now go down to East 14th Avenue. Man, those girls are 13, 12 years old, man.
exactly, exactly,
And
exactly.
those are young ladies that wish that they had a father that would be able to embrace them, to give them that love. And a lot of times, that guy comes around and says, hey, what do you need? I love you. And because they're so hungry for that word love and really have the deception when in terms of what love really is,
Right,
next thing you know, they're saying, well, come on with me. I'm gonna buy you something. And I'm
right,
gonna, and that's what they're yearning for, that from their father, but
exactly,
they're getting it from somewhere else where it's not really love, it's just lust.
right, exactly, exactly. Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, and and that's why when I had a daughter, I thought to myself, there's just she's got to have a father in her life, and so I became committed to that, and to watch. And she was a premature child, and she came out 6 months at 6 months,
Oh wow.
and the doctor actually came to me and said, you know, she's going to probably be mentally retarded. Do you want to have an abortion here? It's almost too late to have it, but she's just no way she's going to be a normal kid. And there was something in me that didn't believe that. And I said,
Mhm.
no way, no way. Okay, we're going to have a child. And she turned out to have more sense than anybody. So, yeah. So, God is good, man. I got down on my knees and just prayed about it. And shoot, man, she was and when she was born, my mom came to see her, and she was in an incubator for
Mhm.
about 2 weeks, and then she had these goggles on her eyes. I guess they had to uh, something they were putting in that incubator to to give her health to heal and to grow. She then came when I picked her up. She was no longer than the length of my fingernails to my wrist.
Mm.
That's how
Mm.
small she was. And so my mom came to visit, and my mom was behind her. And she actually got up on her elbows and turned her head around and looked. Now, babies don't have that control over their necks
Mhm.
at that
That's
time.
right.
You got to hold their necks when you hold them, okay? Because their necks will break. She did that 3 times.
Mm.
The doctor almost fainted. He
Hmm.
said, "This is impossible. This is not. This is not. It literally is not possible." So the
She's a
child was
miracle.
blessed. She's a miracle child. She really is.
Let's talk about move fast forward. You have a book. Tell us about your book.
Well, actually, I have two books. I have a book that I wrote about baseball. I was blackballed from baseball for 4 years because of the cocaine. Uh, there was three groups that the FBI came in, and so when some three people, no, four people went to prison. Then that was group one. The group two, they had the drug test uh, randomly, and they had to do 160 hours of community service. The third group was which I was in, just had to do random drug testing.
Mm.
And that was an awful time to go through because I couldn't get a job. And here I am, just 2 years removed from being one of the best pitchers in baseball,
Mhm.
not on my team in baseball.
Mhm.
And I couldn't get a job for to save my life. So that's when I had to go to Mexico. As a matter of fact, first I had to go all the way back to A ball. That's the lowest level of professional baseball.
Mhm.
And of course, I did well there because those are kids. They're
Mhm.
just 18, 17, 18 years old.
Mhm.
So no one picked me up, and I did well. The next year I went back, and then the commissioner of the league wouldn't let me go back because there's something in the contract saying that you can't make a mockery out of the league, which is what I was doing because it was too easy.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have nowhere to play in the United States.
Mm.
I had to go to Mexico to play. Mexico is the lowest form of professional baseball in the world, in the whole world.
Mm.
Okay, you have Japan, Korea, uh, and the Dominican and places like that, but Mexico is the lowest. And I went down there, did well down there. Nobody picked me up. So they have winter ball as well. So that was a summer league. So I went down to the winter league, and I caught the Montezuma's Revenge, which is a stomach virus. And oh my God, that's the worst. I mean, you throw up, and then you have to use the toilet, and you throw up, and as soon as you get to throwing up, you got to turn around and get back on the toilet. This goes on for 3 days.
Oh, wow.
For the second night, I laid there, couldn't even make it back to the bed. I just laid on the floor, bathroom floor all night. So the third day, it went away. So on the fourth day, I got up and I had enough. Here I am down here in Mexico, and I'm trying to play baseball to get back, and now I'm just so sick I almost died.
Mm.
So mentally, I quit on it. And I went into the office the next day and I said I quit. I was doing well pitching, but I quit. So I got back home to America, got back home, and 2 weeks went by, and then it dawned on me, fool, you just really literally quit. And I don't have a quitting bone in my body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that just didn't sit right with me. So I called the Oakland A's up, the team that I was with, the only team I ever played for. And I called up the guy that didn't mention this. He had come down to the Dominican to give me a contract to play again,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a AAA contract.
Mm.
And that's the highest form of minor league baseball. But again, here I am 2 years removed from being the best pitcher in baseball. So I thought that was an insult.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't take it. And little did I know that's when I began to be blackballed.
Mm.
Okay. So anyway, I called the same guy that came down to the Dominican, the general manager, and I asked him, can I have a job? And he said, well, we've been following you, and we still see that you can pitch. So I tell you what, we're going to give you another shot. I couldn't believe it. So they gave me that AAA contract again that they offered. I took it and signed it, of course. And that was the most humbling thing that I've ever gone through in my life. And they sent me to AA though, okay? And then I went down there and pitched one game, and that was like stealing candy from a baby as well. And so I was actually getting drug tested and for alcohol too. So I get a call to come into the manager's office the next day. I get to the ballpark, and he's got this look on his face like I had screwed up or something. And I'm going to myself, well, hell, I haven't done no drugs or anything. So he goes, Michael Norris, you're going to AAA. And whoa, man, I'm like, wow, that's just one step under the major leagues now. So I've come from Mexico all the way now, and I'm one step from AAA, from being in the big leagues. And I went down there, and the first game, I threw a shutout. But the next 4 starts, I couldn't wipe my comb the back of my hair because I pitched too many innings again. See, I'm on a pitching staff that has a record in the major leagues that will never be broken again. We had 111 complete games out of 5 guys. It'll never be broken. So we went 9 innings all the time, complete games.
Wow.
And so I'm used to doing that. And that's a very egotistical thing. Okay, that just shows how good you. If you can go 9 innings, because they have relief pitchers for guys that,
Absolutely.
So when you don't need a relief pitcher, that's awesome. But what I did that too soon, and I got fatigued arm. So the next 4 starts, I'm getting lit up they were knocking the ball all over the place. So now they take me out of the starting rotation and they put me in a bullpen so that I could throw every day and strengthen my arm back. And that happened to work. So I wound up 6-4 down there. And then at the end of the year, expand the major league rosters to 40 men from 25. And I didn't get called up. And boy, that was a pain right there because I pitched well enough to get called up.
Mm-hmm.
Little did I know I had to stay in the minor leagues all year to pass drug tests all year. So that's why I didn't get called up. The next year in spring training, I get invited to Major League Camp, and I make the ball club. Now, this is why I wrote that book that I wrote. So when I get to the big leagues, now they have me in a bullpen. I'm not a starting pitcher anymore. Now I'm a relief pitcher and a long relief pitcher, which means you come in the game after a guy only goes 2 or 3 innings.
Mm-hmm.
Now that pitcher staff was really good. You had Dave Stewart and guys on that pitch staff. Bobby Welch, bless his heart, he's not with us anymore. Mike Norris was a good pitcher. And they were going to go 7 innings. Okay, so I stayed in that bullpen after time and then pitch. I only wound up with 30 innings. So they send me. So Willie Randolph, who was a great second baseman, got to pull a hamstring, and so somebody had to go down and somebody had to go up to replace him. So I went down to AAA. They sent me down, which I didn't think I was the 25th guy on the team. I thought I was better off than that. But anyway, I go down back to AAA again. I only pitched 11 innings the rest of the season. That was just all-star break. So now I'm going, wow, man, this is not right here. What's going on? Little did I know I was blackballed again. So this is why I named my book Blackballed Twice. Nobody picked me up after that again. I went back down to A-ball again. So Peter Uberoff was the commissioner of baseball. And so he was in charge of all these rules and regulations. And so in that chapter in my book, I call him the czar that went too far. Because he acted like some kind of a political leader, which in my eyes, he was trying to run for president. I guess he saw Ronald Reagan didn't have any political success or a job. And just because Ronald Reagan used to be, I think, the president of of Hollywood, Universal Studios or something of that nature. Don't quote me. And so he had presidential aspirations and he won. So I guess Mr. Uberoff thought that he could do the same thing. So what he was doing was he stopped drugs in the major leagues, and he was responsible for that. And I have to give him credit for that because after 2 years, there was no more cocaine in baseball. But see, baseball goes through these periods with back in the days in the 50s and 60s, you had amphetamines, and they call them bennies or greenies. And you pop these things, and boy, you know, everything gets faster and wider. And I took the things 3 times, and every time I took them, I only went 3 innings because you can actually hear the ball, the seams on the ball going to the plate. You can hear, and then it hits the catcher, like, pow! And you think you're throwing 100 miles an hour, and you ain't throwing. All I would be doing is backing up third base and home plate all day, man. So so that was the amphetamine era, and then we had the cocaine era, and then after that came the steroid era. Okay, and so the game is very hard to play. It's the longest season out of all the professional sports. You play 162 games, and you play 17 in a row without a day off. And on that day off, you're flying back to the East Coast. So you're going to go to Baltimore, New York, and Boston. So you don't really get a day off.
Right.
And so you need something, and you don't really need it, but it helps when you have something to boost you up because it's just people, you come to the ball game, you see these pretty clean uniforms, pristine looking and everything, and you don't realize this guy's hurting because you can't play a whole season without staying healthy. It's just impossible. So something's going to be wrong, and then you just kind of need that upper man to get you out there to go play. So I think I don't know what these kids are doing now. With all this technology and stuff, you never know. But it seems like the game is pretty cleaned up. They even used to have alcohol in the clubhouse after the game, okay, beers. And they took the beer out of the clubhouse. So it made strides because, you know, there's a lot of alcoholics that play baseball or play professional sports, you know. So with drugs and alcohol, that's a lethal combination.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just no way you can play every day and you have a drug addict, a drug addiction, and an alcohol addiction. It's
Mm-hmm.
tough.
Yeah.
You go back east in the summertime, you go back in the Midwest in the summertime, and it's hot as all the heck and humid. And sometimes I would lose 7 pounds after pitching in Boston, man. And I only weighed 175 pounds. So you get dehydrated and all that. So it's a lot that goes into playing professional sports.
Absolutely. Now, what was your second book on?
You can't catch home until you can't get home until you touch all the bases. And that's what the title of that one was. And that was for kids. And I really cherished that book because I both books I made rhymes on everything rhymed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I made that easier for people to read
Mm-hmm.
because when you start getting a sense of this is rhyming, it keeps you interested in it. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And so what I talked about was uh, gangs and bullying and drugs and getting your education and all these things. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's what that book was about. And I really liked that. And then in the back, I had an index where I had a spelling and spelled everything
Mm-hmm.
so kids could learn the spelling and how to spell. So it was a very good book. Very good
Yeah.
book.
I know you talked in that book a lot about wisdom.
Yes. Yes.
What made you? I mean, wisdom is the key. I mean, and it's free. I mean, the Bible says if you lack wisdom, all you got to do is ask God for wisdom, and He would graciously pour His wisdom upon you.
And that's what he did with that book. Uh, because it was just it was a good book. That's all I can say. And it just didn't all come from me. I can't take credit for that because he was just writing through me,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, really, really educational. Really educational. So I'm also have written two more books. I just haven't published them yet, and they're children's books as well. And one is about spirituality, and the other one is about baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And I plan to make a video out of it. And I'm going to have Mr. Stewart, Dave, and Ricky, Dusty. Uh, I'm leaving somebody else out. But anyway, we're going to have them. I'm going to have them instruct on how to play the positions.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Mm-hmm.
Dusty will do managing. Stu invited myself will do pitching. Ricky will do the outfield. Oh, Shooty Babbitt. Shooty will do the infield. And it's going to be nice. So I'm looking forward to that. I've just been so busy trying to get my program off the ground because it needs funding. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, we can't do anything without funding,
Mm-hmm.
and so a lot of it's been done right out of my pension, out
Mm-hmm.
of my own pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to getting some funding. There's some really good funding this year, and looks like it's going to be good.
Well, good. I do know about that. I know about that as
Yeah,
far as,
we've talked about it. Yeah,
and it could be challenging. And I know for maybe the first 10 years of my organization came out of my own pocket as well.
yeah,
And but I believe that God's going to provide a way
exactly.
because you're doing great things, man. And you don't just go through some challenges just to say I went through some challenges, man. I
Right.
mean,
There's a reward to it. God, we're dealing with God's children,
hmm
and then what you're doing is you're doing with the children that went astray that became adults,
hmm hmm
and again, it all revolves around not having that father figure around.
hmm hmm
And so, um, even if some kids have a father figure, but maybe that father wasn't prepared to be the father.
That's right. That's right.
So you spoke about that. So life is very challenging right now. Growing up as a kid, my era was nothing compared to what's going on, the challenges that these kids have now. I
Yeah.
mean, you're talking about shootings in the school. The school used to be a safe haven where you could go and your mom didn't have to worry about you. You know what I'm saying? And they had one shooting in Oakland, and I saw one of the parents running to the school and just dropped into one of her sons' arms and crying. It hit me so bad that it had me crying, and I'll never forget that. And so, um, these are the kind of things that then I preach to these kids about, man. And and again, the spirituality has to be a big component for them to have a conscious level.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know, so
That's right.
yeah,
It's difficult, and you're right. Growing up in East Oakland and San Francisco, and just seeing from fighting to shooting. I mean, they don't fight anymore. Everything is shooting.
right, right. You used to have a fight and it was over with. You know,
And you'll go back and fight that
and
guy
be
again after the school.
right, or you became friends.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's but you can't become friends after you get shot, man. That's just you're either gonna be in the grave or that person's gonna have animosity toward you the rest of his life.
And that's the thing that Mike, that is a real major problem all across the country, man, is senseless murders, anger, frustration, resentment. I mean, these young men are just angry, and they don't have an opportunity to really actually voice how they feel. That's actually how I started this talk show. Can we have a conversation?
Mm,
God told me, He said, if you would perform, prepare, not perform, but if you prepare a platform for these young men to talk about what they are struggling with,
right.
then it frees them up. It'll be less violence.
They have to have a platform in order to do that. You know what I'm saying? They have to have a person that's gone through it or has an interest in them being better and living better lives.
That's right.
And then that comes from having confidence in that person to be able for them to tell you what's going on in their life.
That's right.
So everybody can't do this job. So I applaud you for you doing what you're doing, and I just keep continuing to pray to God that He gives me the strength to do what I'm doing.
Absolutely. Well, we're gonna do it together, man, because we need each other. I mean, even like you
Absolutely,
said,
absolutely.
when we talk about having that you know place where a young man can be transparent, you're right. It begins with trust. A lot of these young men have rejection issues, and
Trust issues too.
yeah,
Yeah,
trust issues. And so you have to build that trust. What I've learned to do, and I'm sure you have too, is we find a common ground. We find something that they like doing, and
absolutely.
and then we talk about that. And what that does is that opens up the dialogue, and they drop their guards because now they're talking about something that they're very passionate about, and
Exactly.
and that's where the relationships build.
Well, that's where the baseball academy comes in, and not only do we play baseball, I have a conglomeration of sports for them, so that I have something for all the kids. So we got basketball, we got football, we got soccer, we got uh, a girl. This is what I'm most proud of. We have girls baseball, not softball, baseball, a 12 and under team and a 10 and under team. The 12 and under team took second place, and this was the first year they ever played baseball against the boys.
Oh wow.
One team even forfeited because they got beat by them so bad that they didn't want to play them the second time. Okay. And this is tremendous. This is just really tremendous. But yeah, so the sports is just the lure to get them in so that I can get them this health and wellness and extra academics, because our black kids are sometimes 2 grade levels behind in their reading.
That's right.
So
That's
here's
right.
a place where they can come do their homework or learn about the subject that they're lacking in.
Hmm.
And so for those who are lacking, they can get up to speed. And for those that are up to speed, can accelerate,
Absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely.
So that's basically how that works. And it's just tremendous when you see how they change within a year.
Hmm.
They get calmer. I don't allow the word nigger around.
Hmm.
I find them, make them run when I hear that. So
Hmm.
they don't say that around me,
Hmm.
because see, they don't. This is a word that's a term of endearment,
Hmm.
but you don't say that in front of white folks, because
Hmm.
then white folks use it, and it sounds real crazy when they call you a nigger.
Hmm.
Okay, to
Hmm.
me, that's just bizarre,
Hmm.
coming from when I grew up with Martin Luther King.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, so those are the kind of things that I'm giving them, that self-respect, and they don't understand why I do that. And then we have to show them videos of the '60s, and when
Hmm.
Governor Wallace standing in front of the schools and wouldn't let them attend the school and things of
Mm-hmm.
that nature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Kennedy had to send the government down there to let those kids in school.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but they want to cut school now and don't know that the opportunity to go to school was not given to us at one time in life.
That's right.
So take advantage of going to school.
That's right.
So
Yeah, you're right. They got to know that history, man, and that's the thing that they're missing.
because it repeats itself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
what we're experiencing right now is generational poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And our mothers knew how to take $1 and it would be and have 50 cents next week and feed you and everything. You have 3 meals. And these mothers these days are 16, 18 years old. Grandmama's 31 years old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so grandmas are what used to be the matriarchs in the family.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that anymore.
No, you don't.
And they seem to be more interested in their fingernails and the braids in their hair and the cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
And, nothing in the house to offer that kid. Maybe the PG&E might not be. I had a kid that PG&E wasn't on in his house.
That's right.
I'm gonna ask you, why you not turning your homework in, son? And he's got his head down in his chin. And I take my hand, I lift it, I said, talk to me. What's going on? Tell me what's going on. And then he went on to tell me that the mother's boyfriend was a dope dealer and was taking her welfare check from him. And
Wow.
they don't have no lights on, the food spoiling in the refrigerator. He can't do his homework because he's trying to do it by candlelight.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
so these are things that go on that we don't know what's going on. And you wonder why the kid comes to school hungry, angry, can't concentrate. They don't get good nourishment. This is why health and wellness is about nourishment as well, because you can't eat McDonald's Monday and Colonel Sanders Tuesday and Chick-fil-A, and they
That's
don't get
right.
a home cooked meal. So the brain is not getting nourished.
That is so true. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And the thing is that those fast foods were supposed to be,
Designed. Yeah,
yeah, not to
designed
be
for us.
meals. This is
Yeah,
like snacks, man.
right.
Now
Well,
it's turned into meals.
well, I tell you what, I learned this when my daughter was going to school out there in Dublin, and we'd stop after school and feed her. And I realized Taco Bell tastes so much better than Taco Bell over here on Telegraph and Grand Avenue. It was like night and day. Well,
Yeah,
they getting better meat.
right. Hey, Mike.
Stale taco shells. The taco shells are stale, man.
Look, man, I want you to share with the audience because we're wrapping it up, but I want you to share with them how they can get in contact with you if they want to donate to your foundation or donate for the cause and the things you're doing. You got a great program that's going on. You got great wisdom. A lot of older folks, man, they think that they don't have anything to give. But man, the fact that you're still here and you have a testimony and where you've come from and a story, and yet you might not be moving around like you used to, but brother, you're a trooper, man, and
Thank you, man.
you're involved and you want to make a difference. Tell the people how they can get in contact with you.
Well, it's the Mike Norris Baseball Academy, and we're at the Salesian Boys and Girls Club after school in San Pablo, and so that's where everything is, and that's basically it.
How do they get your book? Is your book on Amazon? Or?
It's on Amazon. I just just bought a few for a couple people just the other day. So yeah,
And
so I
give them
think it
the
was
titles again.
Blackball Twice. That's the baseball book, which also it's got that was the title to get people to read. There's only about 3-4 chapters that talks about baseball. I talk about sarcoidosis. Sarcoidosis is a disease Black people get that's killing Blacks as well. A lot of people don't know what sarcoidosis is. And then I talk about the history of Jackie Robinson. I talk about President Obama.
Mm-hmm.
So there's several other chapters in there that just talk about what's going on in modern day life. Mm-hmm. And again, I make everything rhyme, so it's all fluid.
And then you have the other one that is
That one's called "You Can't Get Home Until You Touch All the Bases."
Can't Get Home Till You Touch All the Bases. That's on Amazon as well, right?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Well, man, it's always a pleasure, man. You and I are gonna continue to stay close and do some things because I think we have some things in common that we can help make a difference in these communities. And I'm thanking God, man, for who you are and what you're doing, man. And you still a hero in my book, brother.
Oh well, you likewise, man. That's why I went that extra yard, man. When you threw that function down out the lake, that was like I thought that was so wonderful, man. And the way it turned out was just it was beautiful to see all of us out there having a good time, no mess, no guns, nobody acting a fool. It was just wonderful. It was done with class. You had food out there and some beverages, and it was just beautiful. It was just beautiful. And
Well,
so,
we're gonna do it again, man. This time we're not gonna do it the same time as Juneteenth and Father's Day. We're gonna do
yeah,
it away. That was a struggle and
yeah, it
challenge,
was a
man.
little conflict of interest right there. That sure was. But that's
But
all right though, man, because you did get an immense amount of people, and as the day grew on, you got more.
yes,
You know.
yes.
So yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Will we be doing that at the lake again?
We'll be doing it at the lake. We'll be doing it at a different location at the lake, but we're going to be doing it where we can get more foot traffic because it was very hard for parking, remember?
Yeah, that was a hard ordeal trying to park. Yeah.
But I'm definitely going to keep you posted, man. And of course, you got a table so you can set up,
Right, right.
all your
I enjoyed
materials
that.
and
I
let people
enjoyed that.
know about your
Okay.
program and everything.
Sounds great, man. And thank you so much for having me. Um, I gotten a little emotional talking about all this, but I care. And that's what
Hmm.
that means.
Hmm.
The emotion is real. And
Hmm.
so, you people, you bring your kids out and bring these girls out and let them play baseball, man, because this year was the first woman to play professional baseball now. So
Hmm.
you're looking at maybe the next 8 to 10 years, there'll be a woman playing Major League Baseball.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Yeah, well, hey, when you're passionate about something, man, and that's why, I said this is can we have a conversation? It's not rehearsed. It's all organic, man. So when people see the conversation, they know it's real. They
Right.
know, it's not something that we plan and we put together and we put all kind of scripts together, man. We just having a conversation, man.
Exactly. And I enjoyed every minute of it.
Well, man, I love you, man. Until the next time, uh, welcome to Cam. We have a conversation. You can see it on Facebook. You can see it on YouTube, on Man to Man YouTube. You see Mike Norris. He has his books that he's told you about. Also, you'll see we'll be working together on some of his organizations because he is definitely trying to make a difference. And I believe it takes a village to raise our children
Amen.
today. And
Amen.
so we're gonna
Amen.
work together and we're gonna do it and we're gonna trust God until we make a difference in each and every one of these communities.
All
Again,
right.
until next Thursday, God bless you, and we'll see you again.
God bless you, and I love you, my good brother. Take care now.
All right.
Okay.
Hold on.